to do a quick troubleshooting video for the RaceFlight Revolt. I have a V2 board here. Same applies for the V1. There's out of all the ones I've seen that have gone bad, they tend to go bad in one of two ways. If they won't power up on USB, but they will power up on LiPo, or vice versa, you probably have a bad diode. There are two diodes here. There's going to be one right here. If this one's broken, it's not going to power up off of the LiPo. You have another diode over here. If that one's dead or knocked off or broken or whatever, it's not going to power up off the USB. Those are pretty easy to fix. You can probably find similar components on other boards to steal from. Yeah, not a particularly challenging thing. If the board is completely unresponsive, I'd say 9 times out of 10, it's a dead F4. When they die, they don't often blow unless you really nuke them, like put feedback in on the wrong pin or something. My experience has been these don't die in a way that lets the smoke out. They just kind of die internally, and they go short. And when they go short, they just soak up all the 3.3 volts that this little voltage regulator over here can supply to it. And as a result, this thing gets red hot. So if you want to confirm that you have a dead F4, plug it in on USB and put your thumb on this little guy right here. In a second or so, it's going to get real hot, and you'll go ouch. If you go ouch, you've got more than likely a shorted F4. I mean, presumably you could have, if you dropped some solder somewhere else, you could have had a short somewhere else. But with crash damage and the like, it's almost certainly the F4 that bites the dust. So, what happens if you have a dead F4? Well, put a new F4 on. So, we've determined we have a dead F4. Burnt my finger on this plugging it in. So, what do we need to replace that? Well, let's look at the consumables first. So we're going to need some flux. I have this stuff. It might not even be the real stuff. Got it from Banggood. Here's some other stuff. Got this from Amazon. I like this pen a lot. It has, this is considered RMA flux. It's no clean or whatever. You still should probably clean it off. But it works pretty well. The only problem is this will get dried out after a while, and sometimes it takes some effort to get it flowing again. Having some solder wick, good idea. This stuff, compared to the other stuff I used, it really works well. So if you see this, I got this kind of 50 feet of it. Should keep me busy for a long time. But this is helpful if we get any accidental solder bridges. Hopefully we can avoid that. Good pair of tweezers. I really like these purple tweezers, again, from Banggood, $3. My wife is an entomologist, a scientific preparator. She works with tweezers all the time, poking bugs and whatnot. She has some really nice Swiss ones, and to be honest, these are in the same league as her Swiss ones, and I don't get yelled at when I steal them. So, $3 or $4, really good. Cheap tweezers are terrible. I hate when they bend or don't have points that don't meet. These have been really good, really pokey. Also, just general stuff. These Heiko tools, pair of strippers. You won't need them for this thing. Pair of side cuts, handy to have around. $5, Amazon. Have some solder. I use Keister. What is it? 6337. 6040, whatever you want, rosin core. This is a pretty small stuff. We don't need, you're going to need just the tiniest amount of solder. So, you don't need the big plumbing solder for this job. Also, Captain tape can be handy. There's a lot of little parts on the board here. If we want to keep them from accidentally running around while we're putting hot air on the board, good idea to shield it with some Captain tape. So what you can do is just put that tape, we're going to take this F4 off, so we leave it exposed and we put tape kind of around it, make a little window, and that'll keep all these guys a little shielded from the heat. Now, I'm lazy, so I'm not going to do that for this. But, you know, for your first time, you might want to give that a try. So, what do we need in terms of soldering equipment? Nothing special. This is, I think, a $60 unit off of Amazon. We're going to be using the hot air gun to get the F4 off, and we'll use the iron. I have a small chisel tip on there. Pretty small tip, that's all you need. Have it set for, you know, around somewhere a little over 300 on this guy. I usually set the hot air somewhere around 280 to 290. Seems to be right for this. You know, I have no idea whether it's calibrated or not, so try it out. If it heats up enough to melt the solder, good. If it burns the board, it's too hot. So, you know, find out for yourself. So, back here, let's get rid of this F4. So, fairly simple process here. We're going to get the hot air out. And I'm just going to hold it over this. I kind of work it over the whole, you know, area kind of around the F4. You know what I forgot to do first? Put some flux on it. Let's do that. Put this back. Squirt just a little flux on here. So I'm doing this video in the morning, and you can tell I just had my espresso. So you do not need the hands of a surgeon to be able to perform this. So luckily. Anyway, so we got some flux on there. That'll help free up that solder that's on there. The solder that's on there is lead free. It can be a little bit of a pain to heat up hot enough to get it to come off. So what you're going to do is just slowly kind of work this around. I got the flow turned up pretty high here. Anyway, you just keep going around like this over top of the chip and across those pins. And what I'll do is I'll just start to put a little bit of pressure on the side of the chip here with my tweezers. Just enough. Like, you don't want to push hard because you don't want to rip it off the board. You just want to kind of feel whether or not you're getting it hot enough that it's coming loose. So take a minute or so till it comes up to temp, because I don't have the iron or the air real hot. Once it goes, it tends to go pretty much all at once. And just keep around and around. Usually, if you're looking real close, which I can't quite do with the camera in a way here, is you'll see the solder will go shiny whenever it's starting to give up. All right, I'm bored. So we're going to demonstrate advanced technique here. So sometimes this lead-free solder can fight you. It doesn't want to remelt easily. So what can we do here? Watch this. We'll help that solder out by putting some fresh, clean solder on it. The real stuff with lead in it. That stuff melts real nice. So you kind of run that along there. Just splatter some solder on these legs there. Like I said, this F4 is dead, so we don't care. Now what this will happen is this will make the melting point of the solder that's on there a lot lower. And you can really see the shake there. Put just a little bit more flux on here. Now we give it hot air. Should cooperate this time. Again, I don't know if you'll see it here on the camera, but when that solder goes nice and shiny, you know you've got it hot enough. Try to get the whole board and the whole chip. I'm just pushing just a little bit of pressure on it. You'll feel it when it goes. There, it's lifting up on one side. Get it up over here. There it comes. Bink, out of the way. Hey, look, schizo hiding under there. All right. The old chip out of the way. Now it's ready for a new one. Before we do that, we're gonna just clean up some of the crud that's on here. Thankfully, in the process of bridging those with that fresh solder, that's helping to get some fresh solder on here too, which will make it easier when we put the new F4 back on. So we'll take a little bit of solder wick and clean up our mess here. Because we don't want this blob of solder to be here, otherwise the new chip, when we set it down, it won't sit flat. Let's see. Tweezers, my iron. Just clean this crap up. See? Real easy. Now you don't want to, put too much pressure on these pads. Don't push on them like side to side or anything. Otherwise they'll lift right off. Watch these little components right there. Just go around. Just kind of clean this up. There's some schmoo over here. Get rid of that. I normally do my work under I have a microscope here. It makes a compound microscope. Makes it a little easier. Kind of dampens my shake a little bit too. Like I said, nothing special required to get this done. So looks like a little crud over here. There we go. Just a good look over. A little bit right there. A little bit of solder still sitting on these pads. So there isn't a whole lot there. All right. So we got that one just about ready to go. What we'll do, get a little bit of alcohol on there. Use a little acid brush to clean that up, a little alcohol. Come back, put an F4 on it. Next step. Okay, so now we're ready to replace our F4. I've cleaned off the board, put a little flux on the pads. Flux is kind of sticky, a little tacky. Helps keep the chip from wandering around when we try to solder it back on. Now, make sure you get the alignment right. See where it says arm here? Should be over in this corner next to the USB. It's no fun if you accidentally solder it in wrong. So, here comes the hardest part. Just getting it all lined up so that the pins line up on all four sides. I'm just gonna have to nudge it around a little bit. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. A little hard to see with the camera, but I think we're pretty good there. Now what I do is keep this from walking away on me. So kind of, that's it. Move just a smidge there. There we go. Looks good there. Looks good there. Okay. I think that's going to work. What I'm going to do, just get in here on one of these corners. Just tap it with the iron. It's enough to solder those sides down. If it's looking good, if I need to do any, yeah, I'm pretty happy. It's stuck down. If you just tack the one corner down, you can, and it moves on you, you can kind of, pivot the board a little bit. But I was able to get those two corners tacked down, so it shouldn't really go anywhere on me now. Now I can come around here, as you see me shake like crazy, start tacking down these other corners. Oh, see? I pushed a little hard on that guy. See this pin? This pin went a little bent on me. I have to nudge him back in position. Let's get, I saw the board lift up there. Or the chip lift up there. Let's get these other corners tacked down. Don't worry about that pin. There's usually enough solder on here that you can just kind of tap like this. Kind of work these pins down. Okay. When you go to add a little solder, you need just the teeniest amount. Teeny amount. Too much and it'll start to bridge those pins. And so to fight that bridging, one, don't use much solder. Keep cleaning off your tip and have plenty of flux there. When I do, I don't like rub. You can do drag soldering, like by drawing the solder along the pins there and letting it wick up. But I've had a little difficulty controlling that. So what I tend to do is I just kind of sneak up in here like this. Just tap those pads. And you'll see, when you're in nice and close, you'll be able to see the solder wick up those pins and those pads, and you're good. Turn around here, and we'll do the same to this side. I'll fix up that one at the end there that kind of bent a little bit. See, I've got a little bridge down here. There, I was able to just kind of wipe it off. Cool. I'll give them a good once over on the microscope too before I call it a day here. Okay, let's see. Let's shove this guy into position. There we go. Be careful. Take your time. All right. I'll get this corner down. Okay, got that side. Come around over here to this side. Everything's still looking pretty good. I'm going to put just a little more flux on there. Yeah, a little bit too much solder on that first one there. Got a little bit of a bridge between those first two pins. We'll get rid of that here in a sec. So you just kind of tap in. This side's easy because there's no little components in a road. So I keep working my way down here. There we go. Got rid of that solder bridge. Just dragged it off with the iron. Okay. Last side. We're almost done. Again, just the teensy bit of solder on the back there. Tip. See, there was a little, got another solder bridge. Too much crap on, too much solder on my iron. Forgot to put a little flux on this side. Watch out, you got eensy weensy little component there, just right in your road. It's a TVS diode. Right there, that little black guy. Try not to suck him off with the iron. You go like this. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Except for a close visual inspection here. And I can see I've got a bridge right here, it looks like. So again, you just kind of clean it, tip your iron off there. I'll put just a little bit of flux right on that. Just kind of heat that up and drag it off. And look, there, it's gone. Easy peasy. Flux is the trick. Keeps your solder wicking nicely. If it starts to get gummy or it doesn't want to stick right, get some flux on there. Okay, so now last thing to do is you give it a good close inspection the whole way around. Make sure you got everything. One pin down there, it looks like it might be a little dry. I'll touch him up. Yeah, looks good, shiny. Looks close enough for me. Now, when you go plug it into USB, it'll probably come up with one solid green light because there's nothing on it. What you want to do to load the firmware on it is even though it comes up green looking like it's in DFU mode, it's coming up green and something else. Short these two and that'll force it to come up in DFU mode, and then you load the firmware on just like you normally would. That's it. There is a repaired Revolt V2. Good luck. I'll give a quick shot of my microscope setup. It's an AM scope. It's probably one of the cheapest they make. I got it on Amazon after out of their warehouse deals, an open box. I think I spent about 70 bucks on it, and it gets so much use. Good for finding splinters, and it's great for finding shorts and little cracks on the boards and all that sorts of stuff. Can't say enough good things about it. Really like it, and it definitely helps. I do a lot of my soldering under here just because when I see things bigger, I don't shake quite so much. Worthwhile investment.